When you can't make it to City Hall or the school board meetings, local journalists from Duluth News Tribune will be there to report the facts and get your questions answered. Local news works for you. Stay up to date at duluthnewstribune.com.
Hello, Northlanders. It's Thursday, March 2nd. I'm Wyatt Buckner with your Duluth News Tribune Minute, presented by Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union.
The average MPECU member saves over $785 a year in better rates and lower fees. And with MPECU, every ATM is your ATM. With their free checking program, you get ATM fee reimbursements at any ATM anywhere in the U.S. Check out Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union services online at mpecu.com or visit their offices in downtown Duluth, Arrowhead Road, or Miller Trunk Highway.
Now here's a look at today's headlines. A man who was fatally shot by a Duluth police officer last week was a military veteran who in recent years struggled with mental illness. Zachary James Sjogren, 34, was killed by multiple gunshots as officers attempted to arrest him near his home on the 1500 block of East 3rd Street around 2:20 p.m. Friday, according to the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. Sjogren allegedly was armed with a knife during the encounter, and court records show that a criminal complaint had been filed that same afternoon, charging him with felony threats of violence related to a series of, quote, violent and threatening, end quote, text messages sent to his sister on February 13th. The officer's identity will remain confidential because he or she was working in an undercover capacity, according to the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. The BCA said Sjogren was in the alley behind his home armed with a knife. Officer Jared Blomdahl, a 24-year law enforcement veteran, deployed his taser and a second officer fired less lethal sponge rounds, but neither were effective, according to the BCA. The statement said Sjogren can be seen on video running toward the officers when the third officer shot him. He died at a hospital. BCA crime scene investigators reportedly recovered a knife at the scene, and agents were reviewing body camera footage as part of the investigation. Once complete, the BCA will forward its investigation without charging recommendations to the St. Louis County Attorney's Office for review. Sjogren, a Two Harbors native, served 9 years in the Army National Guard, deploying to Iraq from 2011 to 2012, according to his obituary. Records show he had a handful of prior impaired driving cases in Minnesota, but he had no apparent history of violence until a May 2020 incident in which he reportedly fired a pistol into the air and threatened to kill his parents at their Bassett Township home. A criminal complaint states that Sjogren had been suicidal and moved back home after losing his job in Oregon. He pleaded guilty to misdemeanor domestic assault, with a handful of more serious charges dismissed, and was sentenced to 90 days in jail, which he had already served. Records show that civil commitment proceedings were subsequently initiated for mental health treatment in February 2021. Services are planned for Monday in Two Harbors. An advocacy center focused on stopping child abuse is pushing ahead with ambitious expansion plans. First Witness Child Advocacy Center still occupies the original building at 4 West 5th Street, but the scale of work has expanded dramatically since then. Staff have gone from serving about 50 to 60 children annually at first to about 210 in 2022. Part of that growth has been fueled by the center's extended geographic reach, as it now serves not just St. Louis County residents, but much of northeastern Minnesota, including Carleton, Lake, and Cook counties. National statistics from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention provide a glimpse at how pervasive documented child abuse remains. About 1 in 7 girls, 1 in 13 boys, and 1 in 4 non-binary children are subject to abuse before 18. Looking to the future, it has purchased a pair of buildings at the corner of 14th Avenue East and 2nd Street that should allow it to quintuple in size to more than 10,000 square feet. Converting the building is going to take $3.5 million by current estimates. So far, the organization has raised a little more than $1 million, and it's asking the state for an additional $1.5 million in support. It would still need to raise another $1 million. Some of that could come from the sale of the organization's current building. Officials hope remodeling begins in April, with a move-in date toward year's end. Now here's News Tribune hockey reporter Matt Wellens with This Week in Bulldog Hockey.
The Bulldogs women are in the WCHA final face-off at Ritter Arena in Minneapolis this week. They take on Ohio State in the first semifinal at 1 p.m. on Friday. The Buckeyes took 3 out of 4 games against UMD during the regular season. However, all 4 of those games were decided by a single goal, and 2 of the 4 games went to overtime. UMD and Ohio State haven't seen each other since December either. The winner advances to play either Minnesota or Wisconsin for the WCHA postseason championship at 2 p.m. on Saturday at the Gophers Ritter Arena. The winner of that game receives an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament, though at this point it appears that UMD, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Ohio State are all locks for at-large bids. The NCAA tournament bracket will be announced at 11 a.m. on Sunday. I'll have bracketology predictions up by Friday morning this week, and I'll also do one final Saturday night prior to the selection show, so look for that on Saturday night, maybe early Sunday morning. UMD advanced to the final face-off this weekend via a sweep of Bemidji State in the WCHA quarterfinals, winning 1-0 last Friday and then 5-1 on Saturday. Emma Soderberg recorded her 11th shutout of the season on Friday. It was the 13th shutout of the year for UMD as a team. Both are single-season records. That series was part of a doubleheader weekend at Amsoil Arena, possibly the last weekend of Bulldog hockey in Duluth in 2022-23. It all depends on whether or not the women can make the Frozen Four at Amsoil Arena in March. The men, they split their final home series of the season against Miami as part of that doubleheader, winning 3-2 on Friday before getting outworked by the last-place Redhawks in a 4-1 loss on Saturday. UMD was knocked out of contention for home ice in the NCHC quarterfinals Friday night when St. Cloud State beat Omaha. That allowed the Huskies to clinch the final home ice spot. The Bulldogs close out the regular season at the Huskies this weekend. Game times are 7:30 p.m. on Friday and 6 p.m. Saturday at the Herb Brooks National Hockey Center in St. Cloud. St. Cloud is one of three possible destinations for UMD in the NCHC quarterfinals, along with Western Michigan and Omaha. The Bulldogs are still holding on to 5th in the NCHC, leading 6th place North Dakota by 1 and 7th place Colorado College by 4. The only spots that are locked up in the NCHC quarterfinals are the first and last. Miami is locked into last place in the NCHC, while Denver clinched the Penrose Cup last week at Western Michigan as the regular season league champions. The Broncos, Mavericks, and Huskies are all within 2 points of each other in the standings going into the final weekend. And again, they've all clinched home ice along with Denver. So that's where the quarterfinals are going to take place, at those 4 schools. For more Bulldogs hockey coverage, visit duluth.com/Bulldog Insider. That's your shortcut to all our UMD hockey coverage. Sign up for the Bulldog Insider newsletter for series previews delivered right to your inbox on Friday mornings. Check out this week's Bulldog Insider podcast with the parents of UMD women's senior co-captain Gabby Hughes. We got Terry and Mickey Hughes on to talk about their daughter, who is a 2-time top 5 finalist for the Hockey Humanitarian Award. So check that out. It drops on Thursday.
Speaking of the Bulldogs, here's a look at your forecast brought to you by the News Tribune's hockey podcast, Bulldog Insider.
Duluth area weather forecast for today. The change to March, not giving us much of a change in the weather, but that's usually the way it works around here. Partly sunny today with a high temperature in the mid-20s. Northeast wind around 5 miles an hour, turning to the south today. Becoming mostly cloudy, overnight lows in the teens tonight. And then Friday looks partly sunny, maybe a little sun, mostly cloudy. Temperatures warming into the lower 30s. The weekend will likely bring a partly sunny day on Saturday with temps in the mid-30s, and then a slight chance of snow late Sunday after temps are in the mid-30s. I'm Storm Tracker meteorologist John Wheeler.
Thank you to Bulldog Insider for their support. The weekly podcast, hosted by News Tribune reporter Matt Wellens and My 9 commentator Zach Schneider, features University of Minnesota Duluth hockey players, coaches, and alumni. New episodes drop every Thursday on duluthnewstribune.com or wherever you also get this podcast. Reporting for today's episode was done by Tom Olson and Peter Passy. Thank you for listening to Duluth News Tribune Minute. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.